It started out like any other weekend get-together, laughter mingling with quiet conversations and soft music drifting through dim light. Friends, co-workers, and familiar faces gathered around, basking in the easy warmth of a dinner party hosted by one of my wife's colleagues. I was leaning against the bar, deep in conversation with a friend from work, when my gaze happened to drift across the room and landed on Emily. She looked stunning in a red silk dress that shimmered every time she moved. But it wasn't her beauty that caught me. It was her behavior. She stood too close to a man I didn't recognize. Every time she laughed, her fingers brushed against his arm. Her body language, relaxed, open, invited him in. He looked too sure of himself, and she mirrored that same energy. My stomach tightened. That familiar mix of anger and disappointment stirred inside me, emotions I'd tried to bury before. The light touches, the shared smiles, the whisper exchanges meant for no one else. I'd seen them all before. I told myself to stay composed, to breathe through it. But the longer I watched, the clearer it became. The woman standing there wasn't the same one who used to hold my hand, like it was her lifeline. When I finally walked over, she looked startled for a second, then quickly hid it behind her practiced smile. "Hey, babe," she greeted, flashing me a grin that didn't reach her eyes. "This is Nick." He just started at work. Nick's grin was easy, too easy. He extended his hand. "Nice to meet you," he said smoothly. I gripped his hand firmly, deliberate, controlled. Emily gave a light laugh, resting her hand on his shoulder as if to soften the moment. "Relax," she teased. "We were just talking about how a bit of harmless flirting keeps things exciting." The people nearby laughed. I didn't. I just looked at her, really looked. The tilt of her chin, the gleam in her eyes that craved attention. Something in me settled then, quiet and certain. I smiled faintly. "You're right, Emily," I said. "Being single will probably be fun, too." The laughter died instantly. Her smile froze. Color drained from her face. "Wait, what do you mean by single?" she stammered. I didn't answer. I didn't have to. I turned and walked away, leaving her standing there, surrounded by people who suddenly couldn't meet her eyes. Her voice followed faintly behind me. "Jason, come on." It was just a joke. But it wasn't a joke, not to me. It was a final crack in something that had been crumbling for years. When we got home, the silence between us was heavier than any argument we'd ever had. She tried to act casual, tossing her purse on the couch. "You're seriously upset about that?" I was just being friendly. I looked at her, calm, but done. "Friendly is saying hello, Emily. What you did was disrespectful." Her smirk wavered. "Oh, come on. You're overreacting." I let out a quiet laugh. "No," I said softly. "I'm finally reacting." I walked into the bedroom and started packing a bag. Panic replaced the confidence on her face. "You can't be serious," she said, her voice trembling. "You're leaving over a harmless joke?" I zipped the suitcase closed and met her eyes. "You said flirting was harmless fun. Then I guess being single will be harmless too." Her voice cracked. Tears spilled down her cheeks. "Jason, please don't do this." But I was already gone, long before I walked out that door. I'd spent years forgiving her late-night texts, vague girls' nights, and her endless craving for validation from other men. Every time, she brushed it off with, "It's nothing serious. Don't be jealous." But jealousy was never the problem. It was the quiet betrayal behind her words. As I stepped out, the sound of the door closing felt like freedom. The following days were a blur of missed calls and long messages, apologies, promises, regret. But I didn't respond. Every word felt like a recycled script from the past, lines from a play I no longer wanted a part in. She didn't miss me. She missed knowing I'd always come back. The truth was, she'd stopped respecting me long before that night. The dinner party just made it impossible to keep pretending. Weeks later, a friend mentioned she'd become a shadow of herself. "She doesn't talk to anyone," he said. "Keeps asking if you're really gone for good." I told him I was. Because once you see your partner laughing with another man the way she used to laugh with you, something inside you breaks. It doesn't heal. It just changes. A month later, she showed up at my new place. Her eyes were red, her voice trembling. Jason, please, she whispered. I was stupid. I took you for granted. I'll do anything to fix this. I listened quietly, arms crossed. You can't fix what you chose to destroy, I said. She reached for my hand, but I gently pulled it away. You didn't lose me at that party, Emily. You lost me every time you laughed at my trust. That night, when I closed the door behind her, it was final, not out of anger, but peace. In the months that followed, I built a new life, new city, quiet apartment, work that didn't remind me of her. Sometimes I still think about that night, the way her laughter vanished after I said, being single will be fun too. The silence that followed said everything. Now, when people ask what happened between us, I keep it simple. She thought flirting was harmless fun. I tell them I thought self-respect was too. And choosing it was the best decision I ever made.